Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into, well, a pretty high-stakes situation, maybe even a bit of corporate drama. One of the original giants of decentralized finance, MakerDAO, has decided to hit the reset button completely. They're calling it the endgame strategy, and let's just say it's proving controversial. So, for our deep dive today, we're tracking this monumental shift. The entire protocol, everything, is getting a new identity. MakerDAO is now Sky Protocol.
Yeah, it's a massive identity change. I mean, for a project that's been around this long and is this big, it's significant. Our mission today is really to simplify this huge overhaul, because this isn't a small project, right? It controls over, what, $18.2 billion in assets? The stakes are just enormous. So we need to answer those core questions for you. What is this new system really trying to achieve? Why the total rebrand now? And we'll try to use some clear, understandable analogies along the way.
Okay, perfect. Let's kick things off with the basics then. The original system, the one that gave us the stablecoin DAI, what fundamental problem did that solve for users? And maybe more importantly now, what new problems is this huge transition, this end game, trying to fix?
Right. Well, the original problem was actually pretty straightforward. Volatility. You know, crypto markets are. It's a wild ride. So the system solved that by providing a stable, dollar-pegged currency, which was DAI. It gave users a kind of safe haven asset stability right there in the often chaotic crypto world, all backed by collateral.
Simple enough. Stability and chaos.
Exactly. But the new problem they're tackling now, that's more about scale, and I'd say institutional legitimacy. The sources we looked at showed the old MakerDAO structure, well, it struggled. Governance could be slow, gridlocked even, and critically, adapting to the really complex global regulatory environments. That was tough. So the endgame is specifically designed to make the system robust enough, professional enough maybe, to attract serious institutional money, you know, what people call TradFi, traditional finance.
Ah, so they're chasing compliance, long-term viability in that traditional world.
That's the core of it. They aren't just trying to survive in the crypto space anymore. Feels like they're trying to graduate, you know?
Okay, that graduation idea makes sense. How can we simplify the difference, though, between that old structure, the DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization, and this new goal of being a utility? You mentioned an analogy earlier. Is it like comparing MakerDAO to a sprawling local club?
Yeah, I think that analogy works pretty well for the listener. MakerDAO was structured a bit like a sprawling, community-run club. Everyone gets a say, which sounds great, but often led to really slow, sometimes chaotic decision-making.
Been there. Club meetings can drag on.
Right. So Sky Protocol, under this endgame vision, is trying to ditch that club model. They want to become a modern, highly efficient, regulated, global financial utility.
A utility, like the power company, but for finance.
Sort of, yeah. They're streamlining operations, building systems specifically to handle massive volume and meet regulatory scrutiny worldwide. They feel it's the only way they can responsibly manage a system with, again, over $18.2 billion locked up. The stakes are just too high for the old way, they argue. This permanent architectural shift, they believe, is essential.
Okay, $18.2 billion, that definitely justifies needing a more robust structure. So let's talk mechanics. If you, the listener, want to actually use this new utility, how does the system work now? Can we break it down? Maybe 3 key steps, starting with how the stablecoin gets made.
Absolutely. And just to be clear up front, the stablecoin DAI has been renamed USDS. It still aims for that 1.1 peg to the dollar.
USDS,
Yeah.
Garrett.
So step 1, collateral and vaults. Fundamentally, this part is similar. Users still generate USDS, the stablecoin, by depositing approved assets collateral into these specialized smart contracts. They're calling them Sky Vaults now. But here's what's critical and a bit different. The type of collateral. USDS is backed by real value, okay? But that now includes a significant and growing chunk of real-world assets, RWA.
Real-world assets. Like what?
Things like bank loans, potentially bonds later on. They're literally collateralizing the stablecoin with traditional regulated assets to try and boost stability and, frankly, regulatory comfort.
Wow. Okay. That's a serious injection of TradFi into the DeFi space, which leads nicely into the second step, I guess, how people participate. The governance structure seems like it changed radically, too.
Oh, it really did. Step 2, the new share structure. This is where the rebranding gets really aggressive. The governance token, which used to be MKR, is now SKY. And the redenomination ratio well, it was huge. One old MKR token converts into 24,000 new SKY tokens.
Wait, hang on. 1 to 24,000. That's a wild ratio. Why, it's such a massive number. Why not just a simple 10-to-1 split or something?
It seems entirely strategic. I mean, think about it. That huge ratio drastically lowers the price of a single token.
Ah, makes it cheaper per unit.
Exactly. By making the individual SKY token much, much cheaper, it becomes way more accessible, theoretically, for the average person to buy some, hold it, and participate in voting and governance.
So it's a move to make voting feel more democratized, maybe broaden the base, even if the overall ownership percentage doesn't change for the big holders.
Precisely. That seems to be the thinking. Whether it works out that way in practice, we'll see. And that brings us to step 3, new income streams. They also rolled out some fresh, pretty tangible ways to incentivize people to actually hold USDS, the stablecoin itself. The main tool here is the Sky Savings Rate, SSR. This is for USDS holders, and it currently offers a variable yield. Right now, it's sitting at 4.75%.
4.75% on a stable asset.
Yep. And alongside that, they also introduced Sky Token Rewards, STRs, which are designed more to incentivize active participation in the governance side of things.
Okay, that 4.75% rate is definitely going to catch people's attention. It's highly competitive. Let's shift focus then from the nuts and bolts to the why should you care perspective. What are the direct financial implications for someone just looking for, say, a safe place to park some cash or earn some yield?
Right. The practical benefits. I think there are two main ones for the regular user looking to maybe secure their savings or earn something. First is that stable savings aspect. Holding USDS aims to provide that soft dollar peg. It's protection from the crazy volatility you see elsewhere in crypto, regardless of whether Bitcoin or Ethereum are going up or down that day.
So peace of mind, basically.
Pretty much. And second, there's the competitive income. That SSR rate, currently 4.75%, allows users to earn pretty significant passive income on those stable holdings. That's a rate that's, well, often hard to consistently match in traditional banking systems right now.
But is that rate actually sustainable? Or is it more like a short-term carrot to get people to adopt the new USDS stablecoin?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the sources suggest the long-term sustainability really hinges on their third and maybe most critical benefit they're pushing: institutional trust. And here's a big piece of news. Sky Protocol is actually the first DeFi platform ever to get a credit rating from S&P Global. They assigned it a B rating.
Wait, hold on. S&P. The big traditional ratings agency, they actually put a grade on a decentralized protocol. That feels huge, like a massive unprecedented bridge between TradFi and DeFi.
It really is. Now, that B rating is still speculative grade, let's be clear. But just getting a rating signals to institutions that the protocol has made enormous governance and risk management changes. They're trying to comply with traditional financial scrutiny.
And that explains the big push for real-world assets we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It all ties together. It explains things like that $100 million partnership they have with Huntington Valley Bank, a regulated U.S. bank. They're integrating that bank's assets directly into the collateral base. They're trying to prove they can play by TradFi's rules.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, though, right? Because every major shift, especially one this dramatic and one so focused on pleasing institutional partners, it's bound to have pushback. The sources we looked at definitely highlight some serious internal conflicts. What are the core criticisms? What are the risks facing Sky Protocol today?
Oh, the risks are significant. And yeah, they often boil down to this feeling that maybe they're sacrificing their decentralized soul, for regulatory approval and institutional acceptance.
Okay, so what's the first big one?
The first major risk is what you could call the crisis of community, this whole rebranding, the endgame. It faced massive resistance from the original MakerDAO community, the old guard. Get this. According to the sources, only about 10.7% of the original MKR holders actually converted their tokens to the new SKY token.
Only 10%. Wow, that is shockingly low. That means nearly 90% of the original voters are essentially boycotting the new system.
That's what it looks like. It highlights a really deep governance risk and a major split within the community. It even led to serious talk, apparently, about holding a vote to potentially reverse the entire rebrand.
Reversing the whole thing. That shows how disconnected the community feels, doesn't it? They must see this endgame as a massive move towards centralization.
That seems to be the core complaint. And it brings us directly to the second major issue, the centralization trade-off. Specifically, the new USDS stablecoin introduces a really controversial feature, a freeze function.
A freeze function. Let's unpack that. So they can literally freeze funds. Aren't they basically giving up that core crypto idea, censorship resistance, in exchange for that S&P rating and institutional trust? Is that the bargain here?
Essentially, yes. That's the heart of the trade-off. This function allows, centralized intervention management teams under certain approved governance conditions to block or freeze funds.
Why? In what cases?
Cases like theft, maybe a major protocol error, or crucially, a regulatory mandate. It's seen as necessary to satisfy those institutional partners and regulators who need that kind of control mechanism. But yeah, it fundamentally compromises that core DeFi principle of censorship resistance.
Stability and compliance, but at the cost of that radical freedom. It's a tough pill to swallow for the purists.
Definitely. And finally, related to all this, we can't ignore the structural risk of governance concentration. Even though it's supposed to be a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, the founder, Rune Christensen, still holds nearly 9% of the governance tokens.
9% held by one person? That's a huge voting bloc.
It is. It creates a significant risk, or at least the perception, of centralized influence. It potentially undermines their whole decentralized ethos they claim they want to uphold, even with the cheaper SKY tokens.
Fascinating. What a complex set of trade-offs. Efficiency, credit ratings, stability versus freedom, community control, and decentralization.
So if we had to summarize the whole Sky Protocol project in just a sentence or two. Sky Protocol is the really ambitious relaunch of the DeFi pioneer MakerDAO. It's aiming to become this massive, stable financial system trusted by institutions, but it's facing intense internal conflict over sacrificing its decentralized roots for regulatory compliance.
And that core conflict, that tension, is probably where we should leave you, the listener, the final thought to chew on. The sources we reviewed show this deep divide, right? Between the future envisioned by the system's architects, that's efficiency, compliance, scale, and the values held tight by its original community, true censorship-resistant decentralization. It really raises a big question, maybe the question for the future of global finance. Can stability and institutional trust truly coexist with radical freedom and decentralization? Or is that kind of compromise, that trade-off we've been discussing, simply inevitable as these systems grow up? Something to think about. We hope this deep dive helped clarify this monumental transition from MakerDAO into Sky Protocol. Thanks for diving in with us today. If you're enjoying how we break down these complex projects into simple pieces and want more reviews just like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel, CryptoBox. We do all the complex research so you don't have to.